Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 9 of Spud. And in today's video, the Premier League is here today. I'm recording this on Friday afternoon. Finally, the Premier League is back. First of all, what a saga with Moises Caicedo. The people that watch my stream know I said this yesterday before an official bid. Long term, I would prefer Lavia for Liverpool, because I just don't think it'll be a mess like the Caicedo situation. I'm worried that Caicedo will choose a different club after a couple of years, where I could see Lavia being at Liverpool for a longer time. Anyway, enough about that. It's time for the predictions and also my fantasy team that I'm currently going with for game week 1. Obviously, that can still change. It won't change much, though. But I'm always looking at it. I like to have something a little bit different than the majority, but there's obviously a lot of players in there that are template, as they're called, in the fantasy world. But yeah, we're going to start with our predictions. We're going to do this every single week. However, after game week 1, it's going to be predictions plus game week 1 review for next week. So it'll be game week 2 predictions next week with a game week 1 review as well. So without further ado, let's just get into the game week 1 predictions. I'm just going to put them all on the screen now, and I'll just briefly go through each one. So I've gone for Burnley, Man City. I think Man City will destroy Burnley here. Burnley will give it a good go as their first Premier League game back in the top flight. But I think Manchester City will pick up from where they left off last year, and I could see them winning 3-0. And I think Erling Haaland will score a brace. Moving on to the half 12 game on Saturday lunchtime. Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Arsenal are very good at home. Nottingham Forest are not very good away from home. I think Timber's going to be a really good signing. He was really good in the Community Shield. Declan Rice will be a great signing. I think Havertz will start as well. Might he get a goal contribution? You never know. But I think they'll win 3-0. I don't think that they'll win as highly as they did last season, which they won 5-0 at the Emirates against Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth 1, West Ham 1. I was a bit unsure about this one. Obviously, you know, they've lost Rice, West Ham. Paquetá could be moving to Manchester City. They've only signed Alvarez, who hasn't got enough match fitness to play. I've gone for 1-1, right? But I'm being honest, I do not see West Ham winning this game. They might have won at the Vitality Stadium 4-0 last season with Areola, new management, new tactics, some brilliant signings. What a signing Alex Scott was, by the way, and not the former female footballer from Bristol City, Alex Scott. He's currently injured though. I think Milos Kerkez, he's been mentioned in a few of these videos now. Very good signing. I think it'll be 1-1 or potentially 2-1 to Bournemouth. I've gone for 1-1 though. Brighton 2, Luton 0. I think people are overestimating Brighton here and underestimating Luton. Luton are a very good side defensively. This is going to be the toughest season Luton have ever had in God knows how many years. They're back in the first time they are in the Premier League. They've obviously been in the top flight before, I believe. But first time in the Premier League. And it's going to be really difficult for them. Especially away from home. But I think defensively they'll be strong. They're going to probably play a 5-back if you include the wing-backs as... You could call it a 3, you could call it a 5. But I think it'll be mainly a 5. I don't think Giles and Kabore will be too far forward. And for that reason, obviously, low block. I'm only going to go 2-0 to Brighton. Everton 1, Fulham 1. This was an interesting one to predict. Obviously, Fulham beat Everton at Goodison last year without Mitrovic. Mitrovic could end up playing again for Fulham, even after his little tantrum that he didn't get his move to Al Hilal. I've gone for 1-1 though. You know, Willian's future's unsettled. Andres Pereira's a doubt. Calvert-Lewin's a doubt. Dwight McNeil and Danjuma are injured. Tarkowski, I think, was a doubt, but he's fit. So I think 1-1 is a fair result here. This was actually a really difficult one. I've gone Sheffield United 1, Crystal Palace 2. But if you think about it, Crystal Palace have got Franca is injured, Elise is injured, Decore is a doubt, Mitchell's a doubt. So they're kind of relying on Eze a lot. Sheffield United, though, have lost their 2 best players, Sander Berge and Ilian Ndiaye. However, it does seem like they are going to be trying to sign Gustavo Harmer from Coventry. A brilliant signing, in my opinion. £15 million, I think, is a very good deal for Gustavo Harmer. but they're not going to have him for this game, so I've gone for a Crystal Palace win. Newcastle 2, Aston Villa 2. This was a really tough one. I honestly think one of the games... I think this one and Chelsea, Liverpool are the two biggest games of the week. Two brilliant sides last year, both got into European competitions, and I think it'll be a brilliant game. I do think Aston Villa, maybe I was a bit too kind on Aston Villa. They don't have Jacob Ramsey, they don't have Buendia. Diaby will be there. Watkins, obviously. Alex Moreno is injured. They've got Pau Torres in. They've got Tielemans in. Douglas Luiz, the baller. Newcastle, on the other hand, they've got Harvey Barnes, a brilliant shooter of the ball. Will Tonali start? I don't think he will. Personally, I think they'll slowly bring him into the side. Superb decision, in my opinion, if Eddie Howe goes that way. They've got the players to do that. So, yeah, I'll go 2-2. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the striker. Will it be Isak? Will it be Wilson? Gone 2-2. Brentford 2, Spurs 1. Obviously, the news today that Harry Kane is going to Bayern Munich. They're trying to get him signed today so that he can play in the Pokal final against Leipzig. So he might win his first trophy finally in less than 24 hours, in just over 24 hours. Yeah, I've gone 2-1. I think even though they don't have Ivan Toney, we've seen that Visser is a very good substitute. I know they don't have David Raya, and Mark Flecken has been under a lot of criticism for his pre-season performances in the summer series. But I still think that Brentford will edge it, to be honest with you. Chelsea 1, Liverpool 1. Yeah, I have gone for 1-1 because I think that it won't be a 0-0 like normal. But both teams don't have a defensive midfielder. I know Chelsea are looking to get Caicedo now that Liverpool had that fee agreed, which in my opinion was a ridiculous fee anyway. But he wants to go to Chelsea. He won't be registered in time for that game now because I think you have to have 48 hours. So, yeah, so he won't be there. So both teams won't have a defensive midfielder. I think overall Liverpool's midfield it'll be McAllister, probably Gakpo, Szoboszlai. It's probably better than Enzo Gallagher and Chukwuemeka. So I've gone for 1-1. Seeing as it's at Stamford Bridge. I'd take a draw, to be honest, for game 1 of the season. Away at Chelsea. I'd be happy with that. And finally, I've gone Man United 2, Wolves 0. I think this is just going to be a pretty straightforward game for Man United. Obviously, Gary O'Neill's back. You know my opinion on Gary O'Neill. I'm really happy to see him get another job. I think he thoroughly deserved it. But first game of the season away at Man United at Old Trafford is not the way you want to start. So yeah, I've gone 2-0. I could see this has Bruno Fernandes scoring written in the stars, in my opinion. I'm like fully confident Bruno Fernandes is going to score against Wolves. I don't know why. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the fantasy football team. So this is my current team at this moment in time. So we have got a Nana in goal, Estupinian, Gabriel and Ezri Konsa. Now Ezri Konsa is one of the players I'm not sure about. Salah, Saka, Bruno, and now my big risk, my big differential, Dom Szoboszlai. And then Haaland, João Pedro and Watkins. With my bench being Turner, Chukwuemeka, Trusty and Kabore. Now, Konsa, obviously I can only spend 4.5 million. Rico Henry will be starting next game, so it's between Konsa and Rico Henry. I could obviously go for Solly March, Eze and Bumo or Mitoma instead of Szoboszlai, even if it's just for one game week and I bring Szoboszlai in for game week 2, but I'm not going to do that. I love the Watkins pick. João Pedro is the pick I'm unsure about because if he starts to be a substitute, which rotated, he will be in a few game weeks. Right. What on earth do I do? Because I'd have to get a 4.5 million forward and then I'd have to replace one of my defenders with a... You know, it kind of puts a lot of shit into your team. Because I would have to use a 4 million defender. Or a 4.5. You know, he's now won by 23.8% of players. And when he last played in the Premier League, he only got 4 goal contributions. He's obviously looked really good for Brighton in pre-season. These first 3 games should be 9 points. But Is he who I want long term? No. Obviously, Soboslai's only owned by 4% of players. The fixtures aren't great to start with, but... Oh, whoops. The fixtures aren't great to start with, I understand that, but I think that Bournemouth game in game week 2 is really nice, and so is that Wolves and West Ham in game week 5 and 6. And then you've got a few nice games here, the Everton, Nottingham Forest at home and Luton. That's where I'd kind of want to target him. I like to take the risk. I don't want to have a template team. I'll be honest, I don't like Gabriel because he's owned by 33.4% of players. I would honestly, if I had the cojones, right, listen, I would easily just go and stick in Yuri and Timber in my team now. Or, honestly, at this rate, I'm tempted by Saliba. I am tempted by Saliba at this point. Because he's only owned by 17.5%. That's a lot less people now. I know he doesn't have the goal threat that Gabriel's got. But I kind of like it. Timber's minutes are limited. Saliba's and Gabriel's aren't. Sorry. So yeah, ultimately that's my tough choice. But I think the rest of the team, the midfield and the attack is locked in. I think it's just which Arsenal centre-back do I go for, and which 4.5 million defender do I go for. But yeah, I'll be honest, that João Pedro pick's risky. I hate the fact he's so high owned as well, but I've literally got the 3 most picked forwards. Not having my cons of that team: Noise, Matoma, March, and Bumo. One of them at least, and obviously the big one, no Marcus Rashford. That's going to cost me ultimately, I know, but I'm hoping that when Højlund is fit, Rashford will get less goal contributions because they don't have their ghost up front. If he was 8.5 and it was between Bruno and Rashford, I'm going Rashford, even though Fernandes has got set pieces, penalties, etc. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully next week you'll see me in the top 500. I came 360,000 last year in FPL. The year before that I came 302,000, around that. My aim is to get top 100,000. Ultimately, I bottle it every end of the season. I bottle it. This season, though, I was in the 2 millions by game week 22. Managed to claw it down. At one point during a game week, I was 175,000th in the world. Then it was like Luke Shaw, Estupinian were the 2 players I didn't have last season that cost me. And I don't have Luke Shaw again, but at least I've got a Man United defender. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. Drop a like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Peace.